Welcome to Running Down the Clock, where we break down all of this week's big news, events, and controversies from the National Football League. Over the next 45 minutes, we will give you basic fan perspective and opinion on the most important stories and moments happening now. So, let's start the clock. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Running Down the Clock. I'm Tyler Walzak. I'm here with Poya. Week 16 just finished. A lot of cold weather games. The weird thing about cold weather games, I find, is it's either fun watching it in snow or it's just boring because they run the ball a lot. There's nowhere in between. And I don't know how I feel about cold weather games because of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I was looking up the past winners of the MVP awards, just as one was handed out again this past weekend.
The Nickelodeon valuable player.
But the cold weather games, it definitely can affect the game, right? Like myself, I hate playing in the cold. Muscles seize up. You can't feel your extremities. It definitely makes it harder for the players to perform. Like you took it looking at baseball. When the weather gets a little off, they actually cancel it just because the performance drops, right? Yeah. When the pitchers can't hold the ball properly, it's slipping from them. It affects the game to the point where it's not as good to watch.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it might feel like going into the game, it's like, oh, this is going to be cool. Like we're going to have some like really cold weather football, some hard hitting, like back to basics football. But then you watch the games and you're like, this is back to basics football, which is just the teams running up the gut and trying to hit people as hard as possible.
I feel like for some of those defensive players, like the linebackers and stuff, it's a better game because their skills don't get affected as much. You know, they're not need to catch the ball as much. They just need to move and hit and do what they're good at, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of puts the emphasis on certain players' roles rather than your skill players, right?
Yeah.
So
now the one thing that's coming out of this weekend, because it was one of the coldest weekends in NFL history, is teams that are about to build new stadiums are thinking about putting them in domes. So these cold weather games might just go away. Like Minnesota's already in a dome now. Chicago's talking about their next stadium being in a dome. Like a lot of this stuff could just go away.
New York, didn't they build a stadium not that long ago?
Yeah, they have a new one. That'll be cold for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't see the Packers ever leaving Lambeau Field. So that'll also be cold. Maybe they put a roof on it someday, but I think some of those iconic stadiums will want to keep the weather as part of the game, because that's almost what they're known for. Like it's known to go into Green Bay in December and play cold weather football and have an advantage. Like this is Packer football, but I don't know. There was a lot of guys warming up with like no shirts on and stuff before the game too. Like, what the fuck? Does that fucking help? I don't understand that.
Did you see David Njoku?
Yeah.
Yeah, he took the field, did his own little, what do you call meditation routine.
Hey,
if you can overcome it, if you can overcome the cold, you have an advantage in those games. Some players
100%.
can't.
100%. But I don't like, are the shirts off just so that they get used to playing out there, or they'd probably bring their body temperature down before the game so that it's easier? I don't know.
There is a whole psychology as well as actual like physiological stuff you can do to combat the cold. Like you've heard about the guys that do the breathing exercises. They go into the freezing lakes, freezing water. Yeah. And they can control their breathing to a point where they just become, I don't know what the word is, climatized, but like acclimated with whatever it is, and they're okay.
Yeah. Well,
they can survive it.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because one of the most famous pictures of this person is him sitting in a frozen lake with his shirt off meditating. And that's JJ Watt, who announced yesterday that it will be his last season in the NFL. He will be retiring in 2 weeks' time. Probably one of the best to ever do it, right? Like Hall of Fame within 5 years, in the next 5 years.
Oh, for sure. He's got to be first ballot. How many Defensive Player of the Year awards does he have? 3?
I think he's got
3 or 4.
I think he's got
minimum 3, maximum 4.
Yeah, I actually don't know.
He's got 3 at least.
I had it up here.
He's got at least 3. But anyway, that's got to be a first round Hall of Famer for sure.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of those eras players, 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards in the last 12 years. I think he had like 5 All Pros or something like that, which is awesome. One of the guys that like.
Plus, he's a likable guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Everything about this guy.
He's a good character on and off the field. So he'll definitely get it. first ballot.
Hopefully Houston does something too, like retire his number or put him up in the stadium or something, because that's where he started his career, right?
Well,
That's
that
where
was his entire career. What he was with 2 years with Arizona.
yeah, he came there because he thought they had a better chance of winning.
Yeah, I mean that's his entire career was Houston.
Yeah, he was hurt a lot in Arizona as well. So he didn't do
Yeah.
much there, but he still played at a high level. Like he even 2 nights ago, was it? Yeah, he's
Oh
still
yeah,
he
he had all the tackles.
oh yeah, he
He had
was
all
in
the
the
tackles.
backfield all the time. He's a good player, funny guy to watch. And a nice guy from what I hear. Um Another person who's leaving, I guess now, actually, they're done. Not retired, but they got fired, and that is Nathaniel Hackett, head coach of the Broncos. Now, we predicted this week
I thought you were
3.
going to say Zach Wilson, but okay, yeah, Nathaniel Hackett, yeah.
Well, Zach Wilson ain't dead yet. We'll get to him in a second. Nathaniel Hackett, fired by the Broncos. He was an offensive coordinator for a bunch of teams, and he was good actually. Like he is part of the turnaround that the Bills had when, and then he was. Oh, maybe the Bills, but and also Aaron Rodgers spoke super highly of Nathaniel Hackett. I think he was the offensive coordinator of the Packers last year. Went to Broncos to be a head coach. A bunch of problems right off the bat. A misusage of timeouts, clock management. Now, I would say that he's not fully the reason to blame for
One
Broncos.
of the quotes I read was he is further collateral damage of one of the worst trades, sorry, of the worst trade in NFL history.
The worst trade in probably sports history.
Yeah.
They gave up 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, and 3 players for Russell Wilson to sign him to a $245 million contract or whatever it is over the next 5 years. Apparently, the dressing room doesn't like him. Nobody likes him at this point.
Why would they like him? He was arguing. Did you see him arguing with the offensive line and
Yeah.
the backup quarterback had to step in?
Yeah. Like, how does he, where do you go from here? If you're the entire Broncos franchise, what do you do? You are in a really bad position right now.
But
You've got a great defense.
What's his contract in terms of if they release him? What are they actually like? What's their cap hit?
It's going to be huge right now if they release.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's an option right now. You can have him sit, but I don't know what they're stuck with. This everything coming up right now on a little Google search is they're stuck with him until 2024. So 2 more years or 1 more year at least.
Yeah. Well, that's when you look to make a big change.
Like, but
you just hope.
So what do you do now? What do you do
just
now?
hope you can keep any skilled players though.
Well, that's what I mean is you can build you're wasting an entire defense right now. You're wasting I guess their offensive line is not great, which is why these guys are always fighting with each other, but I don't know.
No, there's no other way to look at it. They're fucked. There was a bad move, and you usually don't win when making bad moves.
No, but it's one thing to have a quarterback that's well liked who's not good. It's another thing to have a quarterback that's not good and hated in the dressing room.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to like him knowing how much money he's making.
No, I don't think they like him based on his personality.
Right?
It doesn't sound like anybody likes him at all. And he has a team, like they call it Team 3 or whatever, that manages him and stuff, that are constantly throwing other people in the bus. Like they threw the offensive line from the Broncos under the bus. They threw every single player in Seattle under the bus. It's just, it doesn't seem like this guy's likable and you're stuck with him. Like, why would you have an offensive line that wants to block for you?
Well, there's a movie, Varsity Blues. You remember that one?
Yeah.
You remember when the big guy who's his lead protection?
Yeah.
He got sick from the concussion, fell over, and just killed the quarterback. Maybe one of the offensive linemen has one of those moments one time,
Yeah.
If they don't want to put everything on the line for him, they might just not. Why do they care that much that hey, fuck it. Let this guy worry about it.
I mean, to me, this is one of those things where you're paying this guy regardless. So why not find his replacement and just have him sit down and be like, listen, we either start him and nobody likes him, so no one's going to play for him, or we make a point, we sit him down, pay him his money, whatever, who cares, bring in a rookie that is well liked trying to win the team over.
Absolutely.
because you
I don't
can't
I
trade
don't
him.
think playing him unless there's something we don't know about an injury, some sort of scheme thing that they're doing which isn't working. I think you don't play him anymore. It's what's the point? What's the point of just losing games unless you're just out there trying to get him injured so then he has to walk away
Well, that's what I mean
and
is
you don't look like the villain.
there's no point
There's
playing him,
no point playing.
and people always say, well, it's money, money, money. I'm like, well, you're paying him anyway, so just have him sit on the bench because nobody likes him. You're not winning with him. He's clearly horrible at playing quarterback now. Just get
Yeah.
rid of him.
I don't know what the hell's happened,
Just get rid of him.
but
It's a
he used to
mess
have
in
such a
Denver.
good guy image too in Seattle. Like all the talk about even after he won the Super Bowl, he still went to the hospital to visit the kids the next day on schedule, like he always did. Like he was supposed to be a really likable guy, right? They had him.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're covering up in Seattle or if he's just changed.
Well, it's kind of like that. I think it's like that Ellen DeGeneres thing where on camera she looks like she's like everyone loves her, everyone's cheering for her, people come on, they're all happy, she's dancing, and then you hear what you hear that happens behind the scenes is like that's not that person at all. So he might just be a good person in the community because he knows that that's part of the job, but a horrible person behind the scenes, which seems like that's what he is based on you saw the doll that they made for Richard Sherman
I saw that.
as the Christmas gift. When the doll speaks, it says Broncos country. Let's ride. Oh my God. I love that rivalry. It's not even a rivalry. It's just Richard Sherman hating Russell Wilson and Russell Wilson not saying anything. I love it.
The thing is, I don't think he's a horrible guy. Like, I don't, what's he doing that's horrible? He's not hitting people. He's not yelling at people. He's not a molester. He's not like some sort of like creepo guy. He's just not
He's just
likable.
he's just not
It's not
likable. Yeah.
likable. I know, you know what I mean? Like I don't, there's nothing coming out. I haven't heard any stories of anything actually negative that he's done.
No, it's just that he's not. Yeah, he doesn't go out of his way to be nice to his teammates. He sounds like he avoids them at all costs. So yeah, you're right. He doesn't do anything that's absolutely horrible in terms of morality or ethics. He's just not likable.
Yeah.
It's easy to make fun of him right now. And the Broncos stink. So it's.
What about the other side of that football game? The Rams. That looked like the Rams that we thought this season was going to be.
Yeah. And with Baker Mayfield behind them.
Getting the MVP.
Yeah. The Nickelodeon's MVPs.
You know who he's
Mitch
in company
Trubisky
with there, right?
And Baker, yeah, Mitch Trubisky and Baker Mayfield. Nickelodeon doesn't pick him very well. I can't wait for like 20 years down the way when we can just put all the Nickelodeon MVPs and be like, this is a horrible football team.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's not like they should have given it to somebody else. You got to pick from within that game.
Hey, and this is the thing, like the other thing, it sounds like Baker Mayfield's just going out there and playing a basic system and just using his athleticism to win games.
Yeah.
And he's probably got himself a job somewhere next year because of how he's playing right now. Someone will sign him for a chance to fight for QB1 or just be a backup. And
he's for sure playing well enough to stay in the league right now. 100%. And what's the secret to that? They took the playbook away from him?
It sounds like they simplified everything for him because he came in such short notice. They're just like, let's just simplify it, do these plays, or like, and then boom, we'll go from there.
Yeah. But how bad was Russell Wilson on the other side? Just throwing interceptions.
Horrible quarterback. Oh, horrible quarterback. We could talk about him even more, but let's move on to another horrible quarterback that you brought up earlier. Zach Wilson seems like even though the coach said he's not done in New York, it seems like if the fans have anything to say about it, he will never, ever play again without raining down boos.
I don't think he's with the Jets next year.
I don't know
if that's official. I don't know if that's official or anything, but I feel
the coach says he's still in the game plan, but that doesn't mean that he is. It just means the coach is trying to not have a horrible dressing room. A horrible kid for the next.
I think in the off season, they get rid of his passcode to get into the facility.
Yeah. I think he's gone too. He'll probably go somewhere, fight for a backup spot. Like even the guy that they drafted in Arizona before Kyler Murray found a way on like 2 or 3 teams just because of his talent level. People always thought like, oh, we can take him and we'll turn him around. So I think that's kind of going to be what's going to happen with Zach Wilson. But let's look at his first 22 games in the NFL because there's a very telling comparison that you would never want ever if you're a quarterback in the NFL. And that is Zach Wilson versus Jamarcus Russell in their first 22 starts. Passing yards, Zach Wilson hasn't beat 4,022 to Jamarcus Russell's 3,477. That's good. Passing touchdowns, Zach Wilson only has 15. Jamarcus Russell had 16. Interceptions, Zach Wilson 18. Jamarcus Russell 15. Jamarcus Russell wins both those categories. Completion percentage, 55 and 52, both not great. You don't want that from a quarterback. It's got to be up at least in the 60s if you want to be successful. Passer rating, 70.9. Zach Wilson, 70.8. Jamarcus Russell. Now, even though those numbers are close and you can say, oh, yeah, those numbers are close, it's like, that's not that bad. When you look at what Jamarcus Russell did in the league, he is one of the biggest busts in the history of the NFL, one of the most hated players for what he did when he was on the team in the NFL. And he has one of the worst stories about game day footage that you'll ever hear.
Not watching the tapes, the blank tapes. Yeah.
Yeah. They just gave him blank tapes and said, Fudd, tell us your top 10 plays from all these tapes, and then we'll put them into the system. And he just came back and said, I like them all. I like them all. And they had nothing on the tapes.
Yeah,
blank tapes. That's
now,
amazing.
This is one category where Jamarcus Russell actually leads Wilson. Jamarcus Russell got a $32 million signing bonus. Zach Wilson only got $22 million. Hey, so at least Jamarcus Russell made out like a bandit. I think he got $60 million out of the NFL before he left.
That's not too bad.
That's not too bad at all. For the biggest bust, walked away with $60 million. It ain't too bad. I don't know what Zach's going to walk away with. Maybe half of that.
Well, whatever he's got, because it's probably done. He's probably done in the league after this. I mean, he will, like I said, he'll go somewhere and someone will try to make something out of that talent because it is talent. You can't let it go to waste that young. He's only 22 or 23 years old. So, but he looks like a dick. He looks like an asshole. Like he looks like a super spoiled rich kid.
It looks like he's super entitled.
Yeah, and that doesn't bode well in these NFL dressing rooms. Like guys work their asses off to get there.
You hear the best players always talk about life got harder, training got harder when I made it to the pros. And I think a lot of these people, and I can't speak on behalf of Wilson, they assume that, oh, I've made it. I'm over the hurdle. I've made it to the NFL.
Yeah.
It's like that's just opened up a door of working harder.
Yeah.
That's all it's done for you.
Yeah.
And
100%.
Yeah, I think he just, and appear from what it seems, is he's just one of these guys. He's happy to be a pro. He thought that, I'm second pick overall. Everything's going to work out for me. Like I've made it. I'm the man. I'm the shit. And no, you're so easily replaced.
So easily replaced. And you are in a position in the NFL where your career has the most turmoil in terms of guaranteed. Like if the fans turn on you, everything's harder. If your teammates turn on you, everything's harder. And you have a shorter leash than say like a defensive back or a wide receiver because you're the one in charge of everything on the field.
Which is so obvious. Your blunders are so much more obvious on a regular basis, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But I love that they brought in that guy from Streveler or something from this. He used to play in the CFL. I think he won the Grey Cup on maybe the Argos or somebody. I saw him holding the Grey Cup in like this big jacket. But he comes in, fans love it, throws a ball to TJ Uzoma. Yeah, their tight end. Nowhere near him. He was wide open. If he had just thrown the ball ahead of him, would have been a touchdown. But everyone was super happy. And I was like, that is a really underthrown ball, but is better. Anything's better than Zach Wilson at this time. Now, Zach Wilson was the second overall pick in last year's draft. Last year was his rookie season. This is the second year season. The 15th overall pick, I believe, was Mac Jones, who plays for the Patriots, same draft. Let's talk a little bit about him because he kind of chop blocked a cornerback for the Bengals after he threw a pick, and it seems like it was a dirty hit. He is being fined by the NFL. Is Mac Jones a dirty player? Because this is not his first problem.
I kind of saw a few of the highlights. Like he'd slide with a leg up or something.
Yeah, it seems like he constantly is sliding with a leg up.
And it's tough. I think he's just very well aware that there's a lot of Chandler Joneses in the NFL, and there's not that many Mac Jones in the NFL. What I mean by that is that he is physically outmatched by everybody. I think a little of it's just a bit about protecting himself. I don't know if it's necessarily intent to injure somebody else, Like the slides, it's just kind of hoping I don't get hurt. I don't think he's actually trying to hurt
But
anybody. I think he's just a feeble kind of
so you think
athlete in
he's putting his
comparison to everybody else that's on the field. Now the chop block is still a chop block. Like that's
yeah, and
eh,
it was unnecessary too.
yeah. That one is just I don't think I think he also knows he's not capable of making a proper block in that situation.
But it's not a block. He wasn't blocking. He was trying to. They just intercepted the ball, so there's no reason for a Patriots player to be blocking anybody.
Right.
They should be
It
chasing the
was
guy that has the
is
ball.
Eli Apple yet?
Yeah. So he
Yeah.
stops and turns the other way and dives
He
at the
stopped
knees of Eli
he
Apple.
chop blocked a blocker.
Yes. But the blocker was behind him. He was running ahead of him. He looks back, he sees Eli Apple, and he dives at Eli Apple's knees.
Yeah.
There was no reason to do it. It makes no sense.
100% not. No.
Yeah.
But
so like I can understand your I'm going to say you're defending him. I can understand your defense of Mac Jones by like just sliding with a leg up is because he's feeble and he's scared and he doesn't want to get hit. So he puts his leg up, but it's one dirty because he's kicking guys in the balls, and two, he's just going to break his leg if one of those guys does go down on him.
yeah, I don't think he's the most athletic. That's why it's also just kind of a desperation thing at the time. You don't really think about it. Now, I don't know. I don't want to be on the stance of defending him because your actions are your actions and you have to take responsibility for your own actions regardless of the circumstance of the situation, right?
Yeah.
I also feel like maybe it's a little bit too small of a sample size to really determine how dirty of a player it is. It was definitely a dirty play.
So you like him. He's your guy.
No, I don't give a shit about him. If you took him out of the league right
sounds
now,
like
I couldn't care less.
Sounds like he's your guy. We'll
I'm just
carry on.
thinking, no. I'll tell you my point. I'm just thinking if I were in his situation right now, what I would be doing. And I'd probably be a little dirtier just to protect myself.
Right. So you and him are the same. You guys are brothers. That's your guy. Let's move on to another quarterback in that draft class. The first overall pick, Trevor Lawrence, 11 touchdowns, only one interception in his last 5 games. The Jacksonville Jaguars are currently in an NFL playoff spot. They are leading the division in the AFC South. We knew this. I am not surprised by this. We've been pumping. Now, I'm not saying pumping the brakes. We've been pumping up the Jaguars.
We've been pumping the tires.
Pumping their tires of the Jaguars all year from our very first episode.
We cut the brakes.
They're coming through. We cut the brakes. We've cut the brakes. We're all in on the Jaguars.
There's one reason why they're in the playoffs is because and I said this last week, if the Titans lose to the Texans, that just shows they are the trashiest football team that we thought they were at the beginning of the year. How they strung in all those wins together, I don't know. But and sure enough, they lost to the Texans. And the Titans weren't a division winner. I don't know how they were ever leading that division for the majority of the season.
Well, I'm guessing it was just, I don't know. Defense and Derrick Henry, but what's changed? And now that they've lost Tannehill for the season, he's done. I don't see them recovering from this. Malik Willis was there. That's why they have him. That's why they drafted him, because they want him to eventually be the starter. But right now, I don't think that they have it in them to get back into that.
No. They were performing well above expectations, well above capabilities, I think.
Yeah.
And the Jaguars were a little bit underwhelming, and now they're kind of coming into their own. And what's his name? Lawrence. He's playing like who they thought they drafted.
He's looking like a franchise quarterback.
He had a one-season write-off. We've discussed it before. He had a one-season write-off. He's finally in a good situation. So it kind of took most of this season for him to really get into his groove, but
he's there now.
Yes.
He's there now. I like watching him. He's fun to watch. That entire Jags offense is fun to watch. And Trevor Lawrence is only going to get better. He is going to have a long career, probably win an MVP at some point in his career. Jacksonville could be a good team for the next however long he's still good for. It's exciting. Yeah. The Lions of the AFC. Let's talk a little bit of the Lions while we're on it.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
I know they lost. They didn't show up. Offense didn't show up. Defense didn't show up. Special teams didn't show up. But you know what? I did not expect the Lions. They were 6-1 in their last 7. I didn't expect them to win out. That's hard to do, to go 9-1 in your last 10. I never expected that. So I knew they were going to lose one of these games, but now they have to win out, and they need Washington. So the Lions got to beat Chicago next week, and then they got to go to Green Bay and beat the Packers. That's tough, and they need Washington to win one more game, Washington to lose one more game, Seattle to lose one more game, or the Giants to win or lose two more games, and still have the Seattle Seahawks lose another game, and then the Lions have to win out. But the Packers are also back in it now too. That last game could be for the playoffs. Lions versus Packers for the playoffs. If all else happens, Lions aren't out of it yet, but that was
At the
definitely demoralizing.
midway point of the season, you and I put a bunch of teams on, and we had the bubble teams. Like, these teams are all 3 or less wins. And we kind of went over who we thought was going to be good during the stretch. I mentioned I liked the Lions. Lions were my first pick, and I thought the Bears could actually turn around just because of the way they played. The games were always close. They were doing really well in a lot of the games. They just would lose. They just couldn't pull off the win. But I liked Fields. I thought he was getting better every game. Now, the Bears are still at those 3 wins. They actually haven't gotten a win since. So that actually is a very good opportunity for the Lions to win. There's no reason why the Lions shouldn't beat a 3-win Bears team.
There's no reason that they shouldn't.
No.
They have to win that game. There's no reason that they should lose that game.
No. So, but that's the problem. You can't look past it.
No, you can't. You have to focus on the Bears, win that game, and then focus on the Packers after that. But, I mean, you have to win them both. You can't. There's no excuses now.
Because that division is going to come close to the wire.
Yeah.
Watching either Green Bay or the Lions potentially fight for that playoff spot over Washington.
And that'll be a wild card spot, though. And, yeah, Washington has to lose one more. Hopefully the Giants lose 2 more, and it's all like it could be just a last weekend. The last weekend's going to be fun. Next week talking will be fun.
Especially even the Jags division.
Yeah, well, the Jags division, this weekend, the Jaguars play. Who do the Jaguars play this weekend? The Texans.
Houston, yeah.
And the Tennessee Titans.
They lost to them
Thursday.
They lost to them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Titans play the Cowboys Thursday night. These games don't matter because that division is going to come down to the last week where the Titans play the Jaguars. It doesn't matter who wins this week. They're both tied right now.
So, well, it does matter because if Houston wins for some reason, if the Houston beats the Jaguars and Tennessee somehow beats Dallas.
No, it doesn't, because then if the Jaguars beat Tennessee the week after, they're in the playoff.
Yeah, but you're playing. You're playing from behind. You'd rather play.
No, you're not. It doesn't matter. This weekend literally does not matter because whoever wins that last week will get the playoff spot, no matter who wins or loses this week. Because they're going to have say the Titans win, there'll be 1 game ahead of the Jaguars. But then, and the Jaguars lose this week, the Titans will be 1 game ahead of the Jaguars, and then they have to play the Titans in the last week. And then if they beat them, they're tied with the same record, but whoever wins that game wins the head-to-head.
Okay.
So it just comes down to the last week. This week doesn't matter for either team.
Okay.
You'd like to win for morale, but it doesn't. It does not matter. It's going to come down to that last week.
Yeah. I guess the 3rd place team in the division can't take it.
No. So that would be the Colts. The Colts suck. The Colts are horrible.
The Colts are eliminated.
I thought they would do well this year. I can't believe that.
I thought they'd win the division.
So I don't know why they're so bad. They have a bunch of
quarterback.
It's just the quarterback, though.
That's a key part. No, coaching, obviously.
They have a great defense. Like the players, on paper, their team looks so good.
Yeah,
and they just can't put it. They can't put it together. Something's going on, whether it's in the dressing room or just coaching, or I don't know. But someone needs to be held accountable for that, and they got to turn it around. Before we start talking about next week, there's one huge thing we should talk about that happened with the Colts game last night. That was Derwin James, All-Pro corner for the Los Angeles Chargers, absolutely demolished one of the wide receivers on the Colts. Both guys got up from the hit very wobbly. Derwin James was he got ejected from the game for targeting, hit to the head, massive hit, was to the head. I don't think he'll be suspended, but he will be fined. The fine amount has not come out yet, but the NFL did say that they will not suspend him. It was in the first quarter, second quarter, something like that. Absolutely smoked him. He got up, had to go to the blue tent. Both guys had to get up and go to the blue tent because of the concussion protocol. I don't think Derwin James would have even been able to come back into the game if they said, hey, this wasn't an illegal hit, because he got up and was like stumbling all over the place. Yeah, illegal hit, right?
It's one of those tough ones where he did target the head. So yeah,
Yeah.
by the rules of it, that you have to draw the line somewhere. Especially, not that I think the NFL is always trying to protect players, but if you are trying to protect players, you do have to draw the line.
I
So
mean,
it
this was
does
an easy one, right?
qualify.
This was
Yeah.
an easy one. It looks like even he didn't, well, he didn't know what was going on. So he started walking to the sidelines. It looks like he might have tried to get the guy's shoulder, but his head was down and he launched himself right over the shoulder into the
Yeah.
guy's dome.
It's tough to do at full speed, right? When you commit to something, to make that slight adjustment sometimes is difficult, right? You hear
For sure.
players always complaining about the thing with the quarterbacks. They try their best not to smoke them, fall on them, like the things about protecting the passer. And they say it's hard, like you've already dove at the guy to try and take him out, and the last second you have to try and make your body not fall on him. He's
Yeah,
also resisting. He's moving too, right? It's not like he's a stationary pylon.
but in this case, his wasn't even looking at where he was going. His head was down. He was ready to, he was mad and he
That's
was
what I mean.
ready
He
to crush this
committed. He
guy.
already committed. His head is down. He's already committed to the tackle.
The
To kind of
illegal
change
tackle.
his
Yeah.
trajectory, it can be difficult. But again, like we said earlier, it's your body. It's your responsibility. Yeah, the circumstances
Smoked.
don't really matter. It does fall on you. Yes, he targeted
Yeah.
the head. He got it. So I think that it's an appropriate response.
Now to
Fine.
stay on concussions, because we have to talk about it. We've talked about,
But
we have,
before we move on to the next one, uh, does the injury to the receiving player of the hit affect how they, in some sports they look at, like I think in hockey, if you make a dirty hit, the injury that results from it, that goes into play
it
for
does.
how much you're going to get fined or suspended. Like if the guy doesn't really get hurt, you're more off the hook. You'll probably get something, but you're more off the hook than if he's out for 6 games.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that hockey does do that with high sticking as well. If you draw blood, it's a bigger penalty. I don't know if the NFL does that, but I'm assuming that because they haven't released the fine amount, that they're looking into how that guy's waking up and feeling this morning. I mean, it only makes sense to do that, because if he misses like the rest of the season, it's kind of, it becomes a bigger hit than what it was worth.
Right.
Which does make sense. But yes, okay. So we've talked about this guy's brain before multiple times. Seems like the whole season this guy's brain has been talked about. That's Tua Tagovailoa. He's back in concussion protocol. Apparently, he had another concussion in the game on Sunday or Saturday, whatever day it was. Awesome that we had football all day Saturday, by the way. That was amazing. Tua, 3 concussions in 10 weeks? Should he, it's his decision 100% and the team's decision. Like, do you think he plays again this year? Should he play again this year?
I might have mentioned this once before. I'm pretty certain there is like a medical opinion of you shouldn't have this many concussions in this short of a span and keep risking it. No, he should likely, for his health reasons, shut it down for the season.
Yeah.
But for the love of sport, to continue going at the playoffs for something that he's done his whole life. And it's sad to say, but somebody who may have concussion problems his entire career, which may cut his career short.
Right.
You might want to just take your shot at the playoffs. So that's definitely that's such a personal decision for him to make. You very well could be mortgaging your future, but if it kind of continues at this rate, you might not have that much of a future, right? You can't stand to get 3 concussions a year in the NFL.
No.
That's too much.
Yeah, that's 100% too much. And you got to think that worst case scenario, like, because you're right, he wants to go to the playoffs and they have a playoff team and they want to win. But at what point does he go, maybe I should sit out? There's 3 weeks left, 2 weeks left of the season. Even just sit those out, let Teddy Bridgewater come in and He's a capable quarterback. He can get the job done. Let him come in and then maybe think about it in the playoffs coming back. But I
The
mean,
problem is
the competition.
the AFC's good. Like
I know,
they don't have a guaranteed playoff spot.
I know, I know.
And what they
That's
got
the
the Patriots
difficult
this week?
decision. But he was even like the day. So he came out yesterday and said, I have like something in my brain's going on. I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling that way. And which is why they put him back in the concussion protocol. Looked at some tape. They kind of feel like they found the play where he falls back and his head slams back against the ground, which I hate to say it, but the guy doesn't know how to fall down. He can put your elbows out or your hands, like he keeps falling flat on his back, and that's when your head goes and hits the ground. Like someone has to teach this guy how to fall. This is
He's
the
gonna take
second one where he's just fallen. It does like it hasn't been a the second one, his second concussion was violent. He got thrown down, no way to avoid it. The first one, he got shoved, just pushed in the chest, fell flat on his back, head hit the ground. This one, tackle just wrapped in the waist, flat on his back, head hit the ground. Someone teach Tua how to fall down.
So you can go to a gymnastics gym and take tumble courses
Yes.
just on how to tumble.
Someone has to do this. Like it, it drives me crazy because he's a quarterback. He's going to get hit. There's got to be
He's
some
gonna
type
get
of
he's gonna
he's
get hit.
gonna get hit. There's got to be some type of training or like just practice on learning how to fall. Learning how to fall is there's jobs out there. We work in film. Stunt people, all they do is know how to fall. That is their job. There's nothing special about being a stunt person except learning how to properly fall down, how to
The
properly contact some other surface or person. That is, there's
WWF
jobs out
wrestling,
there. WWF,
WWF
yeah.
wrestling, all those
How to
guys.
fall. That's all
That's
it
what
is
they
how
do.
to fall. How
Yeah.
to properly fall without hurting yourself. Somebody please teach Tua how to fall down. He's too good of a player, too like strong as an athlete to not be on the field. And if he just learns how to fall, this could be solved, except for that second hit, which he just got thrown down very violently. And nothing he could
Personally,
do
I
about.
think he comes back and plays for the playoffs.
Like, well, do you think he plays in the next?
I don't
Like,
think he plays the next game.
I don't
Misses
think
the
he plays
next
the next
game.
game either. Yeah, I don't think he
Misses
plays
the
the next
next
game.
one and comes back.
Yeah, and the next game is against the Patriots in New England, where New England's
Divisional
favored to win right now.
rivalry.
Divisional rivalry, a big game. Both teams have to win them. It's a must-win for the Patriots, but I gotta say it's a must-win for both teams, probably.
It's definitely a
But
must win for both.
let's get talking about the next week. Do you want to start with our game of the week? And that sponsor is BetStamp. BetStamp is your one-stop shop for line shopping, bet tracking, and sports betting odds. You would never just go with the first price if you were shopping for flights. So why settle for the first odds when you find betting? BetStamp changes that. The streamlined and easy-to-use app allows you to find a whole spectrum of odds for any bet. Then it makes it easy to track your bets in one place. You can set alerts in case the line changes and learn what bets your friends and even some celebrity bettors are making. Check out BetStamp for your one and only betting needs. Bills, Bengals, Monday Night Football. This is a huge game. This could be an AFC championship game. It's in Cincinnati. The Bills are favorites to win by 0.5 on certain apps. And then if you look at your BetStamp app, bring out your BetStamp app, look at this game. You can get the Buffalo Bills at -1, or you can get the Bills at -1.5 in some of the betting apps, and you can get the Bengals at -1.5 in some of these apps right now. It is all over the place. Nobody knows who's going to win this game. It's in Cincinnati.
My money's on the Bengals.
I think the Bengals are red hot right now, but the Bills have also won 6 in a row.
They have.
And this game matters for both teams. So both teams want to win this game.
The Bills have already locked up their position, though, right?
Both teams have locked up positions in the playoffs.
Right, but Cincinnati wants to win the division. They haven't guaranteed the win on the division.
Correct. They haven't guaranteed their win in the division. And the Bills want to win first. They want home field advantage for the entire playoffs.
They can win the AFC.
Yeah, both teams want to win this game.
Yeah.
Both teams want to win this game. It's a huge game for both of them. I think that's easily the game of the week. It's easily our BetStamp game of the week. That's Monday night. So, man, that's going to be a great game. Thursday night, we got the Titans and the Cowboys. Cowboys are favorites to win by 10. It's in Tennessee. I don't know if they win by 10, but I think they win.
Are the Cowboys playing for anything? Nothing can. They can't win
They
the
can.
division.
They still can. Yeah.
Can they?
They win out, and the Eagles win
Right.
out because they
If
beat the
Eagles
Eagles.
lose, if the Eagles lose out.
Eagles lose out. Cowboys
Yeah.
win out. Then they could potentially win that division still.
Right. Tennessee's playing for the playoffs too, so I don't think Tennessee will lay down for this one. I just don't think they're good enough to win. If Dallas is playing their best, I just don't think Tennessee can win.
Yeah, and this will be. I think it's Malik Willis's first primetime start. I think he's only got 2 starts in his NFL career. So
yeah,
this will be
none of this affects the Lions, right?
None of this affects the Lions.
No. So,
Steelers, Ravens. That's the Sunday night football game.
So here's my question before we move on: why is there no Saturday games now?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know that. I think they're trying. I don't know. I looked at that. I was very confused by it as well. Maybe it might be because it's New Year's Eve on Saturday, and they think, I don't know, maybe they think people won't watch because, I don't know. That sounds weak. People are going to watch the NFL regardless of whatever. People will miss their weddings to watch the NFL. So I don't know why there's no Saturday night games. Maybe we'll call our insider over at the NFL. That's your guy, right?
So, yeah, I'll give him a call.
Yeah, give him a call. Ravens, Steelers, Sunday night. Ravens favorite to win by 3. Both teams are still very much in playoff. Ravens are in a playoff spot, fighting for the division.
Steelers are pretty far out of
the playoff. I think the Steelers still can make it.
I think the still Steelers can, but man, that's a tough AFC. Like they're got to bump off teams like the Dolphins.
Yeah, they have to win out, and then they have to hope everybody else loses out.
Yeah. No, I think the Steelers have it. They're a long shot at best.
Oh yeah, and I think the Ravens win this game anyways, so that would put the Steelers out. If anything, the Steelers are playing for Mike Tomlin, keeping that never having a losing season going.
Yeah,
this might be his first losing season. Then you got the Eagles, Saints. Both teams, Eagles want to win because they want to win their division. The Saints want to win because they want to win their division still. I don't know if they can. I think a lot of stuff needs to happen for the Saints to win that division.
Well, you got Tampa Bay and Carolina.
Yes, that's a huge game.
That's a huge game for that division. Somehow, beyond anybody's understanding, Tampa is still atop of that division.
Because they keep winning in the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, but they don't keep winning. They have a 7-8 record. What is it?
They keep winning those games in the last 4 minutes. Like, they're a bad football team. They're a very bad football team. But they have Tom Brady, which is strange. Like, you don't want Tom Brady to make the playoffs. I'll just say that right now. If you are a team in the NFC, you do not want Tom Brady to make the playoffs. Okay, then we got Bears, Lions in Detroit. It's 6-point favorites. Detroit Lions are. We talked about this. There's a must-win game for the Lions. I think they pull it out, especially at home. That Ford Field is going to be rocking. The fans are going to be out because they know the importance of this game. Let's go, Lions. Just head down. Let's just please win this game. Please win this game. I don't know what would happen.
There's a lot of games that have to go the Lions' way as well.
Yes.
Cleveland, Washington.
Cleveland, Washington. We are rooting for the Cleveland Browns this week, everybody. Get your Deshaun Watson jerseys out. Put them on. I don't care. Just please.
This next one's a little tougher.
We need to win. And Washington's favorites to win right now, 2.5.
The Colts and Giants.
Giants.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one for the Colts. Giants at home as well.
Yeah, the Giants need to lose 2 games. Giants just have to win 1 game to make the playoffs out of the next 2, and I think this is that game.
Jeff Saturday has 1 win, right? His debut?
Yeah. And then they've scored 6 points in the last 7 quarters or something like that, or 6 quarters.
That doesn't sound good for the Colts winning this one.
No, it's in New York too. The
Giants have everything to play for.
Everything
to play for.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I think it's all up to teams beating Washington for us to get.
Now, flipping to the other New York team, you got your Jets going to Seattle.
Yeah, so we are also rooting for the New York Jets this week. Yeah. The Jets and the Browns. I can't believe I'm rooting for I can't believe that the Lions fucking season depends right now on the Browns and the Jets. Think about the disaster that all three of those franchises have been forever. Three of the worst run franchises in the history of sports. And right now the Lions are dependent on two of them to make the playoffs.
It's
That's
hard.
wild.
Now, who's going to be starting in for the Jets?
Probably Mike White. We're
Mike
big
White.
Mike White fans. Or Joe Flacco. Put Flacco back in there.
With
Please. Just
Flacco,
win
I
the
don't know
game.
why you don't just ride it out with Flacco. He's
I
doing
don't know
well.
why either. He was amazing the first like 4 or 5 weeks. Not
Yeah,
amazing, but they were winning games.
we're winning games.
Please, please. Jets,
And
Browns, let's go.
you
Let's
got
go.
another team that's kind of on your side, which I can see blowing this game because they've already locked up their division. Is the Vikings hosting going to the Packers?
Yes. Yeah, we're rooting for the Vikings as well.
That's a tough situation, just because I don't think the Vikings are playing for anything, are they?
The No, the Vikings.
They're
Well, they're
not going to
playing.
win the. I don't think they can win the NFC.
I think they could actually.
Yeah,
I think they could.
I don't think so because how many losses they have? They get too many losses that they can't catch the Eagles.
Well, the Eagles are 13-2. So say the Eagles go 13-4. With losses in the next two. Then you got
The Vikings have 4 losses.
the Vikings have 3 losses.
Oh, okay.
So they
Yeah.
still got someone to play for there.
Okay, they do.
Okay, then what else we got? What are some of the games we got? Those are the important games for me.
The Battle of LA
Battle of it doesn't
doesn't
matter.
really affect you.
Chargers and also the Chargers clinched. They're in. And the Rams. Actually, we want the Rams to lose. We need the Chargers to win this game. The Lions fans want Lions fans are depending on a lot of teams right now. We're also Chargers fans. We need the top 5 pick. Rams, stop winning football games. Baker, what the hell? Come on, man.
You can't stop an MVP.
Come on. Like,
Well, I guess just
you could
not
even
playing
say
him
that
like makes the difference.
Matthew Stafford did a favor to Lions fans by playing poorly this year and then stopping to play, knowing that they're going to get the pick. And then Baker comes in and starts being like, good? What the fuck?
What is Baker? 2-3?
Oh, I think he's 1 Oh, yeah, I think he's 2-1.
Sorry, 2 of 3 is what I meant. Yeah,
2 of 3.
Yeah,
with the Rams. Yeah.
Sorry, I said that odd. You got another divisional matchup, which I don't know if it's worth watching, other than to just see the disaster that is the Denver Broncos. They're going up against the Chiefs with the Chiefs at home.
I mean, the only thing about the Denver, no, this game's unwatchable unless you just like watching Patrick Mahomes play football.
But do the Chiefs have anything to play for? They're still going to chase.
They still want to win.
They still want to win the AFC.
They want to win the AFC, so they can still win the AFC. They want to win out. But I mean, that doesn't mean that this is going to be a good game. I feel like it's just going to be the Chiefs walking all over the Broncos.
Last time they played, though. Yeah, but last time they played, the Denver Broncos put up something like 30 points.
Yeah.
Best game they've had in losing effort this season.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and these division games, everybody comes out playing a little harder, and the Broncos have that defense that's real good.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pay any attention to this game. I'm going to have the Lions game on. I'm going to bounce around between the Jets, the Seahawks, Vikings, Packers, and Browns, Commanders. Jesus, that's a rough, nobody wants to watch those games.
49ers, Raiders. Do the Raiders have a hope in hell?
I think they do.
They could potentially win, but they won't. They'll blow a big lead. They'll blow a big lead.
They need a lot of help if they're going to. Where are they right now? Let's see here. Raiders are sitting. No, they're out.
They can't. Yeah, the Raiders can't win.
No, they can't.
They can't make the playoffs.
No, I don't think so.
But is San Francisco going to just crush them, or are they kind of taking it easy?
I don't think San Francisco crushes them. It's in Las Vegas. They're still an NFL team.
So yeah, but do you remember their last win? How they got it? What it took for them to win?
Yeah, they had to.
The other team had to give them the ball.
The other team had to give them the ball in the worst play in the history of NFL.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other games to talk about before this?
Well, not to talk about. There is one other game though. It's the Cardinals and the Falcons, the Battle of the Birds. But the only implication on this game is that's the Falcons winning with the other teams in their division losing. that can still get the Falcons into the playoffs and Tom Brady out.
I don't.
I don't
Can
see
it?
that happening.
I don't think it can. Can it? The Falcons are
Not
5 and
just this one
10.
game. I think this or the
Falcons are
Falcons
5 and
out.
10. I think they're out. I think they're the only team in that division that's out.
Right.
I mean, they could if everybody else loses, like the Panthers have to win. No, they're out. The Falcons are out for sure.
They are out, eh? Okay.
I think so.
The game
Everyone in this division could finish at 7 and 10 and make the playoffs. Like this entire division could finish at 7 and 10. That's horrible. Huh.
Who's got the tiebreak on that, I wonder?
I don't even want to do the math on that. I'm assuming that I don't know.
That's an odd one.
That's an odd one. That's a horrible division to look at.
No news on Mariota, eh? Nothing came out over the week.
No, I didn't hear anything. I think it's just
so he's done the NFL. He's that's it. He ended his career right there. He pulled a Antonio Brown, walked away.
Even if he doesn't know it, I'm assuming he's ended his career.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, how do you can't walk away from an NFL team and expect to sign on to another one? Doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. All right. I think we've nailed everything we needed to talk about this week.
I think so. You're just itching to get on your trip, aren't you?
Yeah, my trip somewhere. Somewhere. Well, thank you everyone for listening. We will be back next week to talk about the very last regular season week of the NFL 2022 season. Thank you for listening. I'm Tyler Walzak, Poya Racy, sitting across from me on a different monitor in a different house. Thank you. Running Down the Clock is brought to you by the Ordinary Podcast Network and is every Thursday running until the week after the Super Bowl. We hope you enjoyed enough to subscribe and tune in again next week.